Started at 6 p.m., right on time tonight for a change. Debbie Hendrickson.
Here.
Misty Woe.
Here.
Erica Helm.
Here.
Terry McMahon.
Yeah.
And Bruce Patrick, I am here. The way the budget, the way the agenda is going tonight, we did have a request to go into non-public before the budget. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the agenda items first, non-public, and then the budget after that. So if we can expedite the other items, the board would really enjoy that. All right, so first action item is the approval of the school board minutes, 11/17/2020, public and non-public. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the school board minutes from November 17th, 2020, both public and non-public.
Second.
Perfect. Any corrections?
Yep. Line 30, it wasn't that we didn't need a special education coordinator, we did need the preschool coordinator. The preschool special ed coordinator.
Okay.
And then there's one other thing, it's line 81, or in that paragraph, it's not made clear of what. 81? Within that paragraph, a few lines above it, it's not made clear why those computers weren't working. I believe, and Aaron, I'm going to ask you to correct me. You wanted to return them to Levino, or is it Levino? Lebano? Lenovo? You want to return them to Lenovo because they weren't able to cover the need they were purchased for. They weren't powerful enough. They weren't what?
There's been a little bit of progress regarding that.
But what did you say that day?
What I'm talking.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I was.
Go ahead.
So, yes, I did say that.
Okay.
But
you
things
get.
have improved, that situation has improved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other lines?
No.
Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Move on to student service report. We're moving the budget down, so.
So
Down
my-
to C already. Go ahead.
Yeah, my student service report is there, but there's an addendum too as well to go into non-public. That's all a part of the non-public process. I don't know if you want to just move my report overall to that and then we can discuss it. I think that's the best solution.
We'll move that. Superintendent's report. Is she on?
You want to do that now?
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, okay. So, a moment to set that up.
Okay. While you're doing that, we'll move the correspondence and presentation, so we're not wasting time. You can get her ready.
I wasn't ready for that. Hold on one second. That was fast. Okay.
I told you, we're moving to get to the budgets in it.
Too fast. Okay. All right. Let me just get everything organized. Okay. We received an email. All these emails have been forwarded. I want to say this first. Every email received was forwarded to all board members in a timely manner. They've also been forwarded to the secretary to be included in the minutes, which I forwarded them when I forwarded them to all board members. Okay, we had an email from Bobby Kozlowski, and she wanted to thank us for working hard to keep our kids in school, and it was a very positive thing about the decisions we've made for keeping kids still able to have remote with those kids in school as they need to be. Okay. Another one is from Eric Elmazon, and he was concerned about the precautions for additional students and if we've made those precautions. Kathy responded to this email because it was really to Kathy. He copied the school board on it. And he wanted to make sure that we continue to put safety of the building at the top of our priority list. oh no, Eric is, Kathy's saying that. Eric said, as a parent of a child who's being subjected to the crazy restrictions associated with COVID, I'm sure hoping the forced segregation of our children will be applied to before school care, or everything else we're doing during the school hours. We were denied rec soccer, rec basketball, and all recreational activities this year for safety reasons. I find that all of a sudden the school deciding to allow a for-profit business to operate in the building is a slap in the face to everyone heeding the call to keep the school safe. Kathy responded and said that they were following all the protocols to keep the kids safe with the before and after school program. Okay, Claire Murdoch said, Murdo, she said she would like the Strafford Recreation Board to request to use the school gym after school to be discussed and to decide upon at today's meeting. Okay, and she asked if we need any more information with that, and I think we had quite a bit. Okay, we also received an email from Mindy Bouvier. I'm trying to find that. I forwarded it to Amelia and to the entire board. It was basically talking about the audit committee that was posted, and she had concerns that we reposted it, and she was wondering if myself ignored her email. So here's her response. This is from me. I'm going to take issue with such an unfounded complaint from Mindy Bouvier. Our email system is set up to provide an auto response to emails. The response clearly states that we do not respond to emails, but we will discuss the emails at the next meeting. The board receives all emails in a timely manner. This response was in regards to an SAU committee, not a Strafford School District committee. As a longtime member of the SAU audit committee, when the posting was created, I was asked by the committee chair if I would use my personal email to receive the responses from the posting and bring those responses back to the committee. I didn't want my personal email used. Instead, I chose to use the generic school board email.
Which chair asked you that?
The chair of the committee of the SAU audit committee.
Okay.
Sue Levinson, also the chair of the joint board. Instead, no, I just lost my place. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I didn't get, okay. So I didn't want to use my personal email. Instead, I chose to use the generic school board email with the email direction to my attention. I didn't get it posted on our Facebook page in time. I was very busy and I had other committee work going on, and the post had expired. The post had a due date of November 27th for interested parties to respond. Before I was able to get it posted, it was already not valid. Yesterday morning, when checking the school board emails, I saw an email from Mindy Bouvier. Her email was sent on December 2nd. Unfortunately, the original post deadline was November 27th. Another community member also expressed interest in the position. However, it was also after the post deadline. I called the committee chair for advice. She felt it was in the best interest of all to repost with a new deadline. This would ensure a fair opportunity for all. She contacted, this is the SAU joint board chair, contacted the SAU office and had them repost it. I immediately posted it on Facebook. Apparently, very soon after, Mindy Bouvier reacted in a negative manner to seeing the post. She wrote an email to the board and to the superintendent demanding that the superintendent immediately forward her post, her email, to each individual board member. In addition, she made disparaging comments directed toward me. I have worked tirelessly on the school board for our community for 11 years. I think her response was uncalled for and frankly insulting. Having worked on many committees over the past 11 years in the school board, I have learned that we need people who can work together and assume good intentions of all. The response was beyond the pale. And I'm going to send that to you because all these are going into the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Anybody else have anything? Good. Let's go back to superintendent's report at this time. Monica, can you hear us? Maybe.
Hey Bruce, yes, I can hear you.
All right, Monica, we did shift the agenda around. I don't know if you heard me at the beginning.
I did. I've been on since the beginning.
Okay, so the agenda,
Thank you.
I know you requested to go into non-public before the budget. The budget,
Yep.
budget will be towards the end, so.
Yep,
We'll have some bolts items now. Uh-oh.
very good. Okay, I'm starting the superintendent's report for you now, and Aaron has me on the
I thought we
Zoom.
had-
The public will be able to see it. Okay. It just takes a second for it to come up. Okay. All right, your personnel report is on page 20 of your board packet. And I'm sorry, this is from, okay, the personnel report item I think is from last month.
Looks like it.
For some reason that slide didn't update. So you should have, I'll just have to jump out here and go into my board packet.
Yeah, we had already approved that request.
And I signed
Yes.
the custodian's contract tonight,
Yeah.
so I'll
Yeah.
hold it all set.
So I'm just going into my board packet now. I have it on online. I've been in quarantine, so I haven't been able to go in and pick up the hard copy of it. It just takes a second to open it up. Zoom slows everything down.
You want a minute? We can go and do something else in the meantime.
Yeah, I'll have to pull the packet up online. I apologize for that. I don't know why that slide is still in there.
Go ahead and do that. There's a couple more nuts and bolts items on the agenda.
Okay,
We'll come back to you. So we have committee updates.
Thanks.
Policy committee. Is there anything tonight? Thank you. Transition committee.
Yes.
Okay.
We have two things. One, the board did review the contract for our new superintendent and
Who accepted?
who accepted our offer, and we need to approve that, formally approve that contract tonight, if everybody is in favor of that contract. And I think I'm going to make a motion right now to approve it, so you can, so Mr. Freeman can take a look at that.
Sure.
All right. We've all had a chance to look at the contract. The attorney
Yes.
sent it to us. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to accept or to approve and give our chair the authority to sign the contract to hire our new superintendent, John Freeman, for the amount of $78,000 for 1,352 hours starting July 1st, 2021.
Second.
Discussion? I'd like to thank John for hopefully accepting this position after he looks at his contract, and that we're looking forward to working with him through the transition and getting to the new SAU 105
105.
FM. Okay, thank you.
Very much appreciate the board's time.
We have a lot of confidence in you, John, and you being a Strafford resident helps us too. So, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Okay, go ahead.
We didn't vote, okay,
Oh, yeah. I just figured it was done.
okay,
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous?
unanimous. It was
It
unanimous.
shows unanimous. Thank you.
And so we will have the attorney forward the contract to you, John, tomorrow, okay? All right, thank you. Also with the transition committee, we're going to be meeting, and we've invited John to come to any of these committee meetings he wants to get involved with. We did receive 2 bids for the financial software, and so we're going to be reviewing that. After we review it, we'll bring it back to the board and with a recommendation and see what people want to do. Okay.
All set? Facilities, Mr. McMahon.
Sir, we had a meeting today, and just got an air quality report today. Gary got it today, and I got it today. And I haven't digested it yet, but overall, it's really looking good. We have a few adjustments, like 3 rooms out of 1. Yeah, are a little bit above the new standards. No, but we can adjust the machinery to fix that. And also, I got a couple of things, that for budget. That
Okay.
we can discuss that. And I also have, we have one member, Bill Vance, who's on our
Yeah.
community member.
Yeah.
And he's doing some research for me, for us, on solar.
Okay.
Feasibility of that, and something I think we should be looking at it in the future. So,
On the school land?
I-
On the school land?
yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Possibly, yeah. So he's on that, and it frees me up a little bit to work on other stuff.
How's the module coming?
Good. The plumbing, electricity are all set. Trying to get guys paid. Looks like that's going to happen this week. And I'm going to be just doing like some cosmetic work to it over the winter. And at some point, I'd like to get a new superintendent to check it out and see what he thinks about maybe like the layout of, an office and stuff like that.
Okay.
Pretty excited.
It would be good to include him with his expertise.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
It's his baby.
Yeah, I'm just going to put a plug in. We did repost for the audit committee member, so that's up until December 29th. So we would like to have a community member. So anyone else who is interested may apply.
And that'll be choice of the board for that.
It comes back to the committee and
The
then
committee, okay.
the SAU.
That one, okay. Set future meeting dates while we're
Wait,
here.
I'm sorry, Bruce.
I'm sorry, you have something else?
I hadn't followed up the last couple of meetings, I apologize. Nottingham did vote to submit the resolution jointly with Strafford.
Okay.
around the IDPA money.
Yep.
They sent it in printed jointly, and for some reason, when the resolutions went out, it only listed Nottingham.
That's what Sue
So
said.
Dr. Vincent is helping to follow up with the School Board Association to get that changed to
Okay.
a joint resolution. And I have asked that the resolutions be included in our next packets, because everybody needs to read them, and we will have to vote on the first meeting in January,
Yes.
because the delegate assembly is in between our first and second meetings.
Right.
So
Perfect.
just putting that out there for future planning.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for
Thank
being the rep this year.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Mark?
All right, we're moving down to set future meeting dates. We have the joint board meeting, December 14th.
And that will be an important meeting because we are interviewing the BAs for that meeting.
So did it stay for the 14th and not the 10th?
Yes, it's the
Correct.
14th. And we have, I think, 2 candidates or 3, I'm not sure. Monica?
There are 3 candidates, I believe. We
Right.
got a 3rd application that came in yesterday.
So we have 3 people we're interviewing for that.
And we have January 13th as a regular school board meeting. We will have to have another meeting in between there to fine tune the budget between that meeting and the January 13th meeting, because January 27th will be the public hearing for the meeting. That is the date that's been set for the public school board budget public hearing will be January 27th. And the first Saturday in March will be the school district meeting. I didn't have a time on the school district meeting. What time did we start last?
Every year,
Was it?
If it's on Saturday, it's at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, okay. Because I know the town starts at 8, and I was wondering,
It was at 9.
okay, we'll set ours
So
at
we're
9.
definitely saying 9 o'clock though?
Yes,
Is
that's what-
everybody,
that's-
everybody happy with 9?
That's what we've done, yeah.
Okay,
I just want to say, right before we left tonight, at 4:22 and 4:25, we received 2 more emails. So I just want to give them to the board in a timely manner. Mindy Bouvier, again, wrote to us and wanted to ask us to meet in the gym, which we're doing. And Jessica Grant also wanted us to, she said if we're going to meet in the library, that we should then allow for the public to speak to us on
No,
the
we're-
remote public, because it's too small in the library, but obviously we're not meeting in the library, so
Right.
that was that.
Okay,
I think it caused confusion with the posting wasn't.
correct. Dr. Henson,
Yes.
ready?
I'm ready. I do want to extend my congratulations to Mr. Freeman. And I spoke to the transition committee chairwoman earlier today and let her know that I am ready and happy to do whatever kind of transition work will get him off to the best possible start with SAU 105.
Thank you.
Personnel, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Personnel report is on page 20. There's one resignation. That's Mrs. Spadafora, paraprofessional. So I would submit that for the board's acceptance with great regret.
We did that last week. Monica, I think it was something that came in unanticipated on the agenda last week.
Uh-huh.
And when you had already left the meeting, because we did this after we came out
Okay.
of the public hearing.
Okay.
So we did
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right. We did receive, on behalf of Strafford School, a little more than $20,000 in the discretionary grant monies. This is the second grant that came after the $200 per pupil, and these are for reimbursements that Kathy submitted. So we did get that award. We got noticed yesterday. Dale Transportation has provided a proposal for a contract extension for 1 year. And just to briefly summarize, they are asking for a 3% increase for your AM and PM elementary only routes, with no increase for your AM and PM routes that also run to Co-Brown. And they have proposed anywhere from 3 to 5% increase in their extracurricular trips, which of course right now are on hold.
Monica, do you remember,
Yes.
maybe you couldn't hear us last time. I don't even know if you were on when we discussed this, but we asked, I think you were going to touch base with our attorney about that paragraph on page 10, where they talked about we would have to pay 90% even if there was a pandemic or similar acts of God and such. And we weren't all comfortable with that, and we wanted the attorney to take a look at it. Remember
I
that?
don't recall that, but I'll be glad to get a hold of Megan first thing in the morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just taking notes here. Yep, and I will let the board know what she has to say. Your COVID report, your community transmission, if you're watching the news, you know that it is up today to 9%. Hospitalization rate, though, remains very low. We've got a lot of new cases, but a low hospitalization rate. Strafford County is lagging just a bit behind the state with 8.1% total positivity. Rockingham County, right next door, where I know we have a lot of folks, parents who work, is up to 12%. Their hospitalizations have doubled in the last 24 hours. In our DHHS matrix, when any of our indicators move up a rung, all of them do. So we are at substantial community transmission still. Our school impact continues to be low. I do want to communicate the alarm that our school nurse feels. And I know that a lot of the staff are concerned about the rising rates. And I just wanted to be sure and communicate that to the board. With a low level of school impact, but a substantial community transmission rate, the state's recommendation is for hybrid schooling. And with our 4-to-1 flex, we are in a hybrid model. But I am watching these rates very closely, and we'll be in touch with the board chair if we should continue to experience the alarming level of rate increase. Do you all have any questions for me about the COVID statistics?
No, not at this time.
All right, and that concludes, Mr. Chairman, my report.
Thank you. Is there a principal's report tonight?
There is.
All right, let's hear it.
Would I let you down? So I can certainly come up there and you have this.
Yes, if you want to present it on the board.
Yeah, that's great. You guys want me to come stand
Is
here?
there a principal's report tonight? Wherever you're comfortable. I'm sure everybody can hear you here tonight. Go ahead.
I'm waiting for it to be up there.
Okay.
Do you want me to run it, the slideshow for you?
Do you mind? It's just what more?
Monica, you still there?
She's on the speaker, so.
Yes, I am.
She is still there.
She can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, Monica, we also have to, I know that you're new to the state of New Hampshire, there's also an election warrant that, from the school side that has to be posted to the town. We'd like you to get in touch with the town to, for the dates of the election warrant
Okay.
and the positions.
All right.
All right, good to go.
All right. I mean, I certainly can come up there. I'm not sure exactly how to run all of that. Is it just regular? Yeah. So actually, can you give this back? Can you hand this back to them at this sheet? Page one, report of interest. Isn't that fabulous? Do I really need the mic? Can you guys all hear me? Yeah. Okay. So we really tried to just put together some things that would kind of capture things that are going on in school. Trimester 2 obviously started on the 8th. And so listing what some of those changes are. We were able to bring 42 students back into the building for face-to-face learning on December 8th. I thought it was important to note that we had multiple last-minute requests that came in the day before, and we were able to accommodate and absorb every single one of those, which I think is huge. Parents that were last-minute looking for that change, and we were able to make that happen, and a lot of that due to the teachers, and, you know, being able to make changes with their classrooms and all of those kinds of things. And just something to note that we currently still have 58 remote students. Just to be aware, sorry that's not on the slide. I know that there were questions about before care. We did start before care only on December the 8th with very limited numbers. I did go into the cafeteria to see how it was going. Gina was there running it with another staff person. It was going very well. It was, you know, very minimal numbers and looking to just increase that very slowly, but parents were very appreciative of that opportunity, so we were glad we were able to do that. The part that I would defer, Mr. Chairman, you had those questions about 7-8 and how we were going to make those accommodations. So
Correct, but I do have a question about before care.
Yes.
Before you get there.
Sure.
How is that handled with parents? Are they bringing the kids into the caf, or are they dropping them out front?
What I had asked, you know, was to take temperatures prior to the kids coming into the building.
And the parents are where?
The parents, I wasn't here when they got here, but we had suggested doing that before they came into the building, so that the kids were tested before they came into temperature check.
So they're meeting the kids outside and not letting the parents in?
Yes, that was my understanding.
Thank you.
We should make sure.
Yeah, we'd like to make sure of that.
I can absolutely do that.
Go ahead, middle school, 7 and 8, Mike.
So middle school 7 and 8, and I will refer to Ms. Russell because she was able to, what we talked about in trying to create more time to make the remote learning for all grade levels a little more robust and more check-in. So I just put a general so that Mr. Russell can kind of share. She worked some magic to create that same level of opportunity for the 7th and 8th grade teachers and students as well.
So it was a pretty simple, well, eventually it was simple. It was tweaking because students are not transitioning from room to room, it's the adults transitioning, so that reduces the amount of transition time necessary. So I reduced all those transition times. We covered lunches in a slightly different manner, so that the overall lunchtime for the students, along with their recess, could be reduced, but still provide everyone with their lunchtime. And now at the end of the day, our 7-8 team has their additional planning time. And it also allows those students in grades 5 to 8 actually to be accessible for interventions at the end of the day. So it actually was a win-win for everyone.
Thanks, Ms. Russell. Just on the other side, listing some things to keep in mind that our classrooms, for the most part, really are at max capacity with taking out as many possible things as they can, switching from big tables to small tables, from tables to desks. So finding that space required rearranging and moving furniture in most of the classrooms. It was pretty awesome to have the staff be very solution focused. You know, how can I create another space for another student, and they were really very accommodating, very blessed with the staff. The other piece is just that cohorts, in order to do that, the cohorts in virtually every grade level, there were some changes with the cohort grouping, as well as some of the teaching assignments. So we are all adjusting, and we just ask that everyone be a little patient with that as we're kind of experiencing those changes. COVID impacts in the building. Really just wanted to make some notes and make sure that folks are aware that aware of that. We do not have any new subs, even though we did put out that the increase that is posted on the website. It's on our school Facebook page. It's pretty much everywhere. We still did not get bites for more subs, and we are also currently down 2 paras. It is increasingly difficult to cover all the classroom needs across the building. Just wanted to put out there that there continues to be anxiety over potential exposure, and that's increasing for the folks that are in the building that are experiencing, you know, the additional kids in the building and seeing the numbers rise. So we want to just kind of be aware and then make sure that people know that there are people in the building that are very anxious and nervous about that.
Can you tell us the number of positive cases that have been in the building?
And I'm not sure, you mean?
Students?
There have not been positives in the building. I think we have a lot of presumed positives. And I think one of the things that does happen is that, and I hope Kathy Cunningham is listening and that I make her proud. I think one of the things that's challenging is that if someone is exposed and they may have been in the building for 5 days, and then they go home and that's when they find that they were exposed to a parent or someone else in the home that was positive. If they stay quarantined for 14 days, we can't make them get a test. So there may have been an exposure that we're never going to know about because we can't force that test. So I think there's situations like that that are happening.
But there are no confirmed positive cases of students in the building.
Correct.
Okay.
And then I just want to point out that while we've been able to minimize the impact on the school day for students and families, from the outside, it looks like there's very little impact. From the inside, there is a lot of impact. And in terms of shifting staff and making adjustments to schedules and accommodating things, there's a lot of things that are happening inside that make it look really easy and super smooth on the outside. So I hope that people understand that not having closures due to this, it may look like there's no impact because we haven't had to close, but there is a lot of impact in the building, and there are a lot of things that are happening within the building.
We know it's not easy, but you're doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. I sometimes just to kind of remind folks.
I do think it's important to know, Kathy, as a principal in the area myself, living the same thing day to day, that people don't understand. So again, thank you to you and the staff for keeping our kids face to face as long as possible. Because it is absolutely no small feat, and people who aren't living it genuinely don't understand. To no fault of their own, they're not experiencing it.
Right.
It's tremendous.
It
So
is.
thank you.
Thank you.
And I do know of 2 subs who are, people who are applying to sub. One, I think, already applied, like a couple days ago, so we should.
I have not seen any application. This was more just as we're in budget season, just something I wanted to put out there. This is taking directly the numbers that are currently, so this year's current kindergarten is now listed in first grade, and those numbers, the single digits on the side are the number of teachers we have allotted to that grade level currently. So just kind of, and over on the side, you know, it doesn't include, we do have a number of kiddos who are being homeschooled due to COVID, so this does not include those numbers. It's more just informational, because as we continue to see these larger groups that are coming in the lower grades, it does impact instruction rate. And I know we have that pocket, that those 2 small cohorts that will move into 6th and 7th grade next year. But it's just, as we're in budget season, I just thought it was something good that would be important for folks to see. I don't know that there would be tremendous questions on it, it's just informational. Kudos and shout out to my favorite part. Awesome that we had staff completing report cards and preparing for all these significant trimester 2 changes at the same time, and that all went without a hitch, so to speak, as well as it could. I think it's a lot for them to do, so kudos to them. Parent-teacher conferences were done virtually on the 7th, and were well received. It was great to hear. You know, we did get around, we saw teachers sitting in their rooms by themselves with a computer right there and doing those virtual conferences all day long. But it was great to hear that a lot of the teachers got some of that positive feedback that I think is so important. They're doing a lot of great things, and I was very glad to hear that many of them got some of that support and that recognition from families, so thank you for that. Staff, students, and families included are all working together to make the 2nd trimester transition as smooth as possible. We've had, you know, a few bumps as we would expect, with a little bit of change in the buses and some of those things, but we're working those things out. And similar, you know, along the lines of what Misty said, I could not be more proud to be standing up here on behalf of Strafford School and just saying what these people in this building have accomplished is amazing. And the fact that we've had kids in the building since day one, I think, is huge. It's a testament to the passion and the commitment and the dedication of these folks. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of them. So thank you guys, and I will continue to say that we are very blessed with an amazing staff and a fantastic community. So thank you.
And on behalf of the board, I'm sure, I'm speaking for, we are all proud of the staff, your leadership, and the students, and making everything work, and the families. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I think the community is so happy too.
Kathy, can I ask one clarifying question?
Yep.
38 students school-wide or remote. All other students.
58.
50. Oh, this is what happens when I don't have my reading wrong.
Did I?
No, you said it right, and I wrote it down, and then I misquoted you.
It's the, I put something, not to make it a Facebook reference, but my personal Facebook, that something about listening to people talk with masks. I now feel like I understand what the Charlie Brown teacher was saying all the time.
You did say 58. I just wanted to confirm it. So school-wide, we have 58 remote learners.
Yes.
And what is, I forgot the complete population. It's under 400, right? So how many are?
It's slightly over.
So, okay. So 300 and whatever that math is, are in school 4 days a week, face to face.
Yes.
That includes the preschool.
Thank you.
You're all set? You're done with your report?
Thank you, Kathy.
Any further questions for the principal's report?
No,
Great, so let's see where we are. I think we've covered everything else. There's update on substitute nurse posting. Kathy, is that you?
I'm sorry?
We have
updated nurse
Roman
posting.
numeral 6 under D, update on substitute nurse posting. Is that when you said?
I
there are no
wanted
bites?
to suggest that our superintendent.
Superintendent.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, we have a proposal from a medical staffing
Getting her
agency.
back, Aaron, is that what you did? There's a question from Monica.
Yep. Are you able to hear me now?
All right, you should be there.
Okay, all right. Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
You ever hear this?
We can't do, this one?
Debbie?
Okay, Aaron, are you able to hear me now?
Barely, but yeah.
Hardly at all.
Kind of within that code. Nate says he can handle it if you, he can speak to it if it's not coming across clearly.
Okay, Aaron, let me know if you can hear me.
All set.
Okay, all right, Mr. Chair, we had a referral, and actually thank you to Mr. Byrne for this connection with a medical staffing agency. We have not received any responses to our posting for a substitute school nurse. And in the event that we were to have a substitute, it will not cost the school board anything to enter into an agreement for a medical staffing service. We would only be charged if we actually use the service and they do provide the substitute, but we have to have a signed agreement in place with them.
Is it interim?
It's per diem. I'm
It's-
looking at
I meant the name of the company.
oh,
Sorry, I don't have.
oh,
Salary rate.
here. I'm looking at the rates, and I don't know if they're right. Per diem rate for an RN, $58.
Hourly.
But it says per diem. Okay, so that is it should say hourly.
Yes.
I was gonna say that is incredibly
Yeah,
inexpensive.
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. That's
I'm
what-
married to an RN, that's not gonna
I
happen.
know.
I know that for a fact.
Okay.
And I hope that we don't get into a position where we would have to use a staffing service, but it is a possibility. And I do recommend that the board consider having an agreement with the service in the event that we had to access it.
What is the board's pleasure on signing the agreement?
I'm in full support of that. I think if it's a need that we need to be prepared to call
Would
somebody.
you put that into a motion then?
Sure, I will make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation to sign a contract with MAS Medical Staffing in the chance that we need a substitute for our school nurse at $58 an hour during the weekday, 7 to 3.
That would be it. Okay.
Did somebody second? Oh, I'm sorry, Eric, I didn't hear you. Is there further discussion on that?
Later on, we might be able to talk about some ways to help pay for it.
Okay, but is there anything else
No.
for the motion now? Okay, all those in favor of entering into a contract for Mass Medical Staffing? Aye. Yep, that's unanimous. Thank you. The chair will sign when we get the contract in.
Thank you very much. I'll arrange that tomorrow.
Okay, so at this part of the agenda, we're down to the budget, but before we do the budget, we're gonna go to non-public session. However, there are people here that may want to say something tonight. I know there's people that want to probably talk about Strafford Rec, so. We're gonna open up to public comments at this time and come up to stand, you probably just talk where you are and stand up and we can probably hear you from there, so. As long as you're loud enough. Unless you want to walk up to the mic, which is not there. I was trying to make it easy. No.
Good
Hi.
evening, School Board Member Mayor Murdo, President of Strafford Recreational Sports. Just furthering following up to our request 2 meetings ago for use of the gym after school during weekdays and possibly weekends, whatever Gary says to that ability. I wanted to address some comments that were made in previous meetings that, regardless of cold and flu, we will have students in the building. And last year, cold and flu took out the entire boys' school team for basketball. So regardless of the pandemic, cold and flu will still be around. Physical education class that is once every 7 days for 45 minutes is enough, not enough physical activity for all our children. Regardless of feeling bad or having feelings that we didn't have a fall rec soccer should not impact the possibility of having basketball. There was preliminary talk about using the guard as a possible location. However, they do not have basketball hoops in their gym. They're already set up. If we were to use the guard, that would incur more cost to Strafford Rec Sports, and we have not had any income at all because we did not have our spring sports, we did not have fall sports. And then for closing, for the mental, social, emotional, and physical health of our children, bringing them back on a very limited control basis, just and bring back just a wee bit of normalcy to our. Thank you. Yes.
If you would be so kind as to remind me, I know you did a very thorough job, but it was several meetings ago, as to if this was strictly skill and drill, strictly Strafford students. I believe there was a component that it would be no visitors, if you will, like maybe one parent. Can you just highlight the precautionary pieces?
Yeah, we're gonna have to dig back into recess.
I know,
of
I
my brain on that
apologize.
one. We were doing, so it is Strafford students only. We would not be allowing students from other towns, should they want to do that, because we don't want any cross-contamination, any additional exposure. So strictly in-house. Depending on the number of students that do register in per grade, if we were able to say have 2 girls teams in the same grade range, then on occasion perhaps do a scrimmage. But the main purpose is just going to be skills and drills, getting up our butts and moving around. What other question?
That was all. I was
That was
just,
okay.
I know that you guys had tried to be very thoughtful. I was one, just full disclosure, that originally wasn't comfortable with it, but with all of those pieces in place, I'm one board member that would move a motion to act on this tonight.
So did you say that there wouldn't be parents in the gym or?
Oh, parents, good, thank you. So with the K-2 program, for the comfort level of the child, we felt with the bleachers pulled out, one parent per child could be socially distant in the bleachers, and again, that would be based on our registration number. And that's just more of, K-2, that's their first exposure to group activity in an athletics setting outside of a gym class, and so that's just for a level of comfort. If we were to have any scrimmages, then we would say to allow one family member to come and view that scrimmage. As far as practices from grades 3 through 8, it would just be a simple drop off. The athlete is then screened before coming into the gym by a member of the rec board, and then come to practice, and when practice is over, they go on their merry way. So we are eliminating the number of adults.
And they're wearing masks?
They're wearing masks, yes.
How many kids in the gym at a time?
Again, it will depend on registration, but we will be keeping numbers low. I can't really speak to that at this time, because we don't know the interest numbers and so on and so forth, but we are being very conscious that, okay, we're not going to have 20 kids on one team in here at once. That doesn't make sense. So that's when we can sit and split it up into two teams. And one comes in for this 45 minutes, we wait 15 minutes, and then have another group come.
Can I ask one more question about shared equipment and any cleaning protocols?
Yes, so I have been in touch with Gary Hessington. So Strafford Rec Sports, we do have our own basketballs that we keep out in the shed, and they are stored in, I believe, the boys' locker room during the season. So it's separate from school equipment. Gary has offered to provide hand sanitizer, wipes, whatever we can use to sanitize balls as much as possible in between play.
Now, would the rec consider starting 2 weeks after Christmas, so that was one of the things that, we've heard a lot about, maybe some transmission over the holidays. So if we were to start, say, Martin Luther King Day or the 15th of January or something like that, is that something that you would consider?
Yes, we are not hard and fast to any certain dates. Understandable that, there's been concern about families getting together for Thanksgiving, so I know we're all kind of biting our nails for the next 2 weeks, and then we're going to go through that same process again with winter break. So given the time frame in which we are allowed to move forward with this process, to then do our own registrations, gather up the volunteer staff and coach that we need, make sure everybody's good to go and understands all the parameters, guidelines, and what our program is going to look like. Yes, I'm good with starting post-winter break.
Coaches, where would the coaches come from?
The coaches are community members, and most of them are a parent of a child in school. So we are paying very close attention to who our coaching staff would be.
So coaches would only be people from Strafford,
Correct.
not my uncle from Rochester who
No,
works on
then
mine.
until we get into another area of, needing background checks, we're dealing with minors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't feel like dealing with that.
I'm sorry. Sorry, one more question is, have you had an opportunity to talk with the school nurse around your health guidelines for rec? I only ask because as someone who works in an area district, it's the district's guidelines that have to be implemented to use the district's facility, and I'm just curious if your guidelines and ours are aligned.
Oh, I haven't spoken with her directly. I have consulted with other medical staff. I honestly didn't even think to.
I just personally think it's important that we are aligning our expectations during the school day to any vendor coming in.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my feedback.
Okay.
Do you mentally have an upper limit of how many people could be here? I understand you can't give an exact number,
Right.
but at what point do you say, this is too many, we don't have enough coaches, instead of trying to jam them into other teams?
Right, yeah, no, again, that's something as registration comes in, and it can be made to be a first come, first serve registration process to say cap teams at maybe, depending on, I would say 10, just to spread out and really have the whole gym, and then you've got 5 and 5 doing different drills and then switching off and things like that. So just trying to, we are trying to be as conscious as possible, and we understand that with this potentially being the first opportunity for community sports, there could be a large number of registrants.
And would you consider keeping kids, if you did have a large number of kids, in their cohorts, as far as, if somebody is in one second grade class, that you try to keep those kids together, because that's what we've been doing here. Even on the recess, they can't play with the other
Right,
kids.
and that was something, if I could, whatever the process is to get that information from the front office, I'm happy to do that, to keep our cohorts together.
Well, thank you for the links that you're going to try to make this happen for kids.
Like I said, just trying to bring back just a smidge of normalcy for the kids. So. All right, thank you.
Any other comments?
Thank you guys for your presentation, because that was actually part of the letter I submitted today. I don't think it got read that I was supporting the basketball as well. I sent a letter a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure if that was received and reviewed, but about basketball and really supporting everything that the program just said. As a parent of a middle school boy, activity, please. Like, we can only do so much. And if you had, and I'm just advocating for my kids, because that's here in that grade level, but if you had to make some concessions, I feel that middle school is a really important place to get them out. The little kids, you can convince them to go sledding and do fun things outside. Boys just want to play video games. And every night we have a list of chores and we go through them, but there's only so much we can do. And I would just love to have them here socially to shoot the ball around. I miss that so much, and they miss it. I mean, the argument becomes, get off the video game. This is the only time I can talk to my friends. True, okay? And the girls, no disrespect, I have girls too, but they do different things. They FaceTime and they chat, and the boys really need some, but I am supportive of the girls too. And I think we have all the protocols that we need. Phil Brown is going back to play basketball, so if there's some additional reassurance that we need there, maybe we can reach out to Headmaster Smith and see what they're doing, so we can be in alignment there. I know one thought I had was open up the doors if we want a little more ventilation, like turn the heat up. I don't care. Let them play ball, please. So thank you for considering that tonight. I also want to thank Kathy for keeping the kids in. I heard that discussion on the way here. It is so great that they're here and they're learning. I have a lot of coworkers based on where I work at DES so we hear a lot of different towns. It's not just Seacoast. I get it from all over the state. And we really truly are the only ones that are doing it and doing it well. Every day someone else is talking about going remote and how our kids are suffering. So what we're doing is working. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to the parents because they're also doing it right at home too. So that's great. I think that was it for now. We'll probably have more over the budget, but basketball. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey folks, I'm Craig Thomas. Appreciate, I'm in support of all the, of everything you folks are doing. I really do think it's awesome that these kids are back in school. I have 3 daughters, one at Co-Brown, 2 at Strafford School, and I'm a former Strafford Rec Sports president. And I mean, right now I'm Claire's doing an awesome job taking over, and I'm in full support of getting these kids back to sports. And my question to the board, and I know it's just comments, I'm just sitting here, I just wanted to know about Strafford School team sports. And I ask because I don't believe there's an athletic director at school. Maybe it's questions posted towards Kathy, but I just haven't heard any update or communication regarding Strafford School team sports. I know they did not have a fall season, didn't have a spring season last year, and Co-Brown, I have a daughter in Co-Brown, and they're playing sports, and there's also Southeast League, which is the middle school. Strafford School is in that division. There are a few other schools that are participating, and Strafford isn't. So I just want to see what the communication was and any updates. But I'm in full support of that, and with all the safe protocols put in place. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alan Wong, and I'm here speaking on just on my behalf, not representing anybody else. I think it's great what administration has done to try to make this all work with students. I think it's great what the students are doing in the building. They come in there well behaved. They go to their area in their classroom. They want to be here. They're working really hard to make it work. That said, personally, I come here every day extremely concerned about my safety as well as my students. And I know we've really pushed things, and we want to be here with the students. That's why we teach. Nobody wants to be remote. Nobody wants that to happen. But nobody wants to get sick either. And while we haven't had students test positive here in the building, we don't have control if they're home and they're not being tested. And I think it's naive to think that students aren't positive for COVID and that it's been in the building. I just hope we don't wait until it's too late to make a decision to go remote. And that's my concern, is that we're pushing it, and we're pushing it, and we're pushing it. And at what point do we wait until somebody gets seriously ill or gets ill and then it becomes serious? At what point do we draw the line? So I hope you think about that. I know you do. I know you put a lot of time and effort into that. We want the students here. We want everybody to be safe. But boy, I feel like we're walking on thin ice every day. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Almazon, good evening. I support basketball, but I think you guys have to consider, this is a little contrary to my normal stance, but I think you guys have to consider the cohorts for the simple fact that all this work is being done to keep everybody safe in their cohorts. And then bringing in the before-school program and bringing in basketball. And with the kids coming back, I think you just need to consider it. That is all.
You remembered?
I did.
Okay.
At this point, up here, and I did also feel remiss that I did not say administration as well, because I do appreciate the risks that the teachers are taking, and that's very real. In that same vein, to promote what I did write about in my letter today, and I asked if you would be accepting call-ins. I specifically called out the fact that the posting was in the library, but also the rising numbers, and that they're meeting people, myself included, who really, I don't need to come here, I can make a phone call, and I'm not really concerned about my own personal safety, but everybody else's. And there are a lot of people, I think, that are calling in and they have comments, but don't want to come here, and I don't understand why we can't just open that forum back up to allow people to make their public comments over the telephone. So I was just curious as to why that was.
We'd probably do that once budget session is over. We're going into very long meetings at this time, and I know that it's a little selfish to try to shorten some of the time that we hear, but we have a budget that was developed, and we really need to plod through it. It takes hours to go through that. So, and the other piece is that we're asking staff and students to be here in person, so the board is here in person. And if anybody wants to speak, they should come in person. So.
I think that's a little disingenuous to increasing the
Okay.
budget because we're all here. I also think it's disingenuous to the public that want to be a part of the budget process. We repeatedly hear that people don't get information, they don't feel that their voice is heard. I personally don't feel that writing a letter to the board, which is why I'm here tonight, I drove here specifically because I don't feel that the letters that I write to the board are conveyed in the same manner, and I'm not the only person that feels that way. I may be the only person that stands here and says it sometimes, but it's not just me. And when people get frustrated, they want their voice heard, and if they can't at least just take 5 minutes of your time, you guys even limited it to 2 minutes before, and I thought that was like super efficient. Go through the calls, it may be 20 minutes of time, but people then feel empowered that their voice was heard, and they're probably more likely to support the budget and understand the process, because it is an important process. You know, I've been here every year. I understand the process. It is so important, and we need more people to understand it and have a voice in it to support our schools.
We'll consider it. Anything from anybody else? Anything from the board at this time?
Yes, I just want to clarify that with the before care, they are following the district guidelines, 6-foot distancing, required masks. Is that true? And I'm hearing from the Strafford rep that they will do their very best to work with the school district to honor the cohort piece as long as they have the proper information to do so. Follow the district guidelines, even consult with their school nurse to ensure masks, 6-foot distancing. I just think people are doing extraordinary things, and I would make a motion that we allow the rec to run winter sports after January 19th, 2021.
Second?
Okay, further discussion.
I would just say I'm absolutely comfortable with that where things are now, but I think we need to just revisit it, touch on it at least, that meeting in January, just, we don't know what the numbers will be then.
Yeah, things could change, so it's tentative. Things change, we may have to change.
And I think that's an excellent point. I think that's always true. I think if the governor were to shut us down, that's like a no-brainer. We wouldn't be, so I completely get that, but I would love to allow the opportunity for the registration process at a minimal to begin, so you know what you're working with, and could start doing the legwork that it would require to run a program with that amount of accommodations, if you will.
Right. And the parents would know that it could change, so that they're not shocked if it has to. Also, I think if you include in your registration your homeroom, you'll know the cohorts, and you could,
Oh, what a great idea.
if you could possibly put these kids, keep them with their cohorts, that's really going to be the best way to keep everybody from spreading things. You may need more coaches, but.
Okay, anything further? Okay, we'll put this to a roll call vote. Bruce Patrick, chair, no. Debbie,
Yes.
Misty?
Yeah.
Erica?
Yes.
Kerry?
Yeah.
Okay, it passes 4-1. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you for all you're doing.
Anything else for public session right now? We are now going to go into a non-public session for, talk about some budget personnel. And then we'll be coming out and working strictly on the budget until we get through the whole document tonight.